everybody, it's Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show, where we're just making adjustments and trying to get better. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and Laquan Jones. We are through week one, headed to week two. We got a full show for you today. We are previewing the entire week two slate, and we are giving you our fantasy hot takes. But we are going to start with some fantasy headlines. There's also Soil Doubles as a preview of the TNF football game. And to help us out with that, we are bringing in our friend and NFL Network reporter, Cam Wolfe. You can find him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe. He is down in South Florida ahead of the Bills and the Miami Dolphins. And Cam, let's just jump right into it, because the big thing that everybody wants to know is, last week we saw Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert both get banged up in that game for the Miami Dolphins. What is the status on the Dolphins backfield heading into week two?
Yeah, right now Raheem Mostert is ruled out for Thursday, and Devon Achane is going to be a game-time decision. So Achane will be the one we're watching, what his status is leading up to Thursday. I got a chance to watch him in practice today. He returned back there on the field. He looked really good. I watched him closely. No limp. I didn't spot it. He caught all passes and did all drills with the running backs as normal. Now, they were going like 75% speed on a walkthrough, but he looked like a guy to me ready to play in some capacity Thursday. Now, with the ankle, you're always a little cautious. Does he start to play and is limited on a snap count, or is he able to finish? But as far as him, his action looked like a guy ready to play. I didn't notice any extra taping or bracing on his ankle, and he did finish the game on Sunday. It sounds like, talking to Mike McDaniel, both of these injuries are a little bit subject to the short week. Playing Buffalo on Thursday, don't get the full time to recover, so I wouldn't expect any long absence for Raheem, and I anticipate at this point for you to see some version of Achane tomorrow.
So, Cam, with Achane banged up, though, who's the next man up that fantasy managers should be running to the wire to get?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? I would estimate that if I was handicapping the situation, assuming Achane plays, Jeff Wilson should lead the other backs in touches. Jeff Wilson was the guy who was active last week. Jalen Wright, I get it. He is the high upside play. He's the rookie draft pick. He's got crazy speed that fits with Mike McDaniel. He'll play this week, definitely, and I think he'll have a role. But from what I've heard talking to them and kind of in camp, Jeff Wilson's just a little further along with his knowledge of the scheme and just kind of their comfort with him. And so I'd imagine that you see Jeff Wilson filling more of the Raheem Mostert role. Now, if you don't have Achane, then maybe Jalen Wright assumes the Achane role. But my thought is that Raheem Mostert's initial backup is Jeff Wilson, and Achane's initial backup is Jalen Wright.
That is smart usage by the Dolphins, I would say. Now, I'm the one on the show right now wearing a Josh Allen shirt, so I have to ask you about the team on the other side. And don't think we didn't notice the Tyreek and Damar Hamlin pictures behind you. Awesome.
Good eyes.
How do you think the Bills will attack this Dolphins defense this week?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to see how healthy Jalen Ramsey's hamstring is. That's what the Jags did last week. Of course, Jalen Ramsey missed a lot of practice as he dealt with the hamstring injury, and then obviously got the big contract. But they used him a little bit on a snap count last week. He played about 70-75% of the plays, and Brian Thomas Jr. definitely tested him with a lot of those deep plays, and he got a touchdown off of them, also got a pass interference penalty. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen tries to test them with that deep ball. Anthony Weaver is a new defensive coordinator there, and so one of the interesting things we saw throughout camp and in week one is they're willing to throw the blitz a little bit more than Vic Fangio was. They're willing to move their cornerbacks a little bit more than Vic Fangio was, and so I think you're going to see a little bit more versatility in that scheme, and they think they have some familiarity with Jordan Poyer there, who played with Buffalo for the last 7 years. There's been a lot of talk about him revealing the secrets to how to stop Josh Allen. I don't know if he has any secrets, but I do know that if Josh gets in trouble, as we saw last week, he's going to take off with those legs and may leap over a Dolphins DB. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Bills fan as far as that. But the Dolphins do think they have some tricks up their sleeve.
Definitely going to be interesting to watch. A huge matchup in the AFC East to get things started in week two. Check out Cam Wolfe. Obviously, see him all week long on NFL Network. Should be a fun one, Cam. Appreciate you stopping by.
Appreciate you, fellas.
All right. That was our look at the TNF game. Should be a whole lot of fun. I know Florio will be keeping a keen eye on it to see if his Bills can get a leg up in the division. But let's turn our attention to the rest of week one, because we got a whole lot of games to get through right now. We will start with the Raiders at the Ravens. Las Vegas coming off a tough loss. The Ravens coming off a tough loss in the season opener as well. Laquan, what are you watching in this one?
I'm going to be watching Zamir White, man, because this may be another matchup where you're going to be like, I need the Zamir White points. But the Ravens allowed less than 75 rushing yards last week to the Chiefs, and the verdict is still out on Zamir White actually being productive in this Raiders offense. I mean, holding Isaiah Pacheco to the rushing yards that they did in the offensive total under 75 rushing yards, you got to look at Zamir White in starting lineups as a question mark, because you had Alexander Madison, who ran 22 routes and finished as a top 20 fantasy running back. The dude had more fantasy points than Bijan Robinson in week one. That looks insane, man. And like, even with the opportunities, less than 40% of the snaps, like, I need to understand what's going to be happening with Zamir White this season.
Yeah, I'm big on Alexander Madison this week. I think the game script sort of lends to him getting a whole lot of opportunities. The Chargers at the Panthers. The Chargers coming off a win. The Panthers looked pretty awful this past week. And for me, I want to see more from J.K. Dobbins. And look, I'm willing to admit, I'm taking the L on this one. I didn't think J.K. Dobbins was going to really be a fantasy relevant option this year, but he came out immediately and proved that he could be the RB1 for Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman in that offense. A couple of long breakaway runs. Yeah, he doesn't have the long speed right now. I think he's still sort of working back up to that, but still looks very explosive at times. Did get about 60% of the snaps, also a little bit more contributing in the passing game as well. So it looks like he could be putting Gus Edwards in the back seat. And Kamani Vidal, well, he might not be an option for you, at least in the very near term. But like the options, like the matchup this week against Carolina, and I think J.K. Dobbins deserves to be in a lot of fantasy lineups in week 2. Saints at the Cowboys. Dallas and New Orleans both coming off wins. Florio, what are you paying attention to?
The Saints offense, because they were able to pick apart the Carolina Panthers. But to me, it's kind of like when a coach throws like the varsity team against the JV team. Obviously, the varsity team is going to look amazing. Now they got to play not just someone of their caliber, someone better than them, I would say, in the Dallas Cowboys and this really tough defense. So Derek Carr looked good. I know people are excited about the tight ends. They used 3 tight ends. I'm not excited about any of them. But I want to see if this Saints offense can respond against a tough defense like the Cowboys. If they do, I'll be willing to put more trust in them moving forward.
Yeah, Derek Carr had a huge game. I don't know that anybody believes in Derek Carr necessarily, but if he does something this week, I think we got to start to pay attention to that one. The Buccaneers and the Lions. Tampa Bay looks very explosive. We know the Lions can score points. What are you keeping your eye on, Laquan?
Is Baker Mayfield the real deal? I mean, look, he had a awesome showing out there with 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is kind of rare for Baker in his career. He's only done it 4 times. So I'm looking at Baker Mayfield this week, man. Like, can he do it? Can he put up 300+ yards? I mean, Stafford did it last week, but not that many touchdowns. And I'm thinking, can Baker keep this same energy going out this week? I mean, you honestly, it helps when you have a Mike Evans playing like he's 23 years old again, and when you have Chris Godwin back in the slot, and then you have this 3rd-round pick, Jalen McMillan, looking like a special player. Like, this is really going to be the game I'm going to keep my eye on if this stamps him as, you know, Baker Mayfield is a top 10, you know, fantasy quarterback again.
I certainly like Baker Mayfield this week. Also helps they got Liam Cohen, a Sean McVay disciple, who's running the offense out there now in Tampa Bay. Moving on to the Colts and the Packers. Anthony Richardson got off to a great fantasy start last week. The Packers offensively got off to a great start, but they lose Jordan Love. And for me, the big question heading into week 2, can we trust any of the Packers wide receivers? And right now, for me, the answer is no, or at least I'm willing to wait and see. Jaden Reed was amazing. Christian Watson was able to get into the end zone. We saw targets for everybody in the offense, but Malik Willis has never proven that he can get it done on this level. Obviously, a very small sample size with his time in Tennessee, and got the 1 play at the end of the game there for Green Bay, but just a lot of real questions that need to be answered, and I'm not sure that I'm willing to take a chance on any of the Packers wide receivers. Look, maybe you do have to play Jaden Reed because of where you drafted him and who else you have on that roster. But it's going to be scary hours right now for the Green Bay passing game. This feels like a week against Indianapolis where we see the Packers lean on Josh Jacobs, maybe Emmanuel Wilson a little bit against a run defense that gave up a lot of yards to the Houston Texans last week. But I'd be very, very nervous if I had to start a Packer wide receiver in week 2. Browns and the Jaguars. Neither one of these teams really super impressive in week 1, Florio. What are you trying to keep an eye on this week?
I'm wondering if the Jaguars are going to be fantasy crushers. Not in the sense of like, are they going to completely flop? Because I know it was week 1 and they had a lead and stuff like that. But look at how the volume was distributed in week 1. Gabe Davis had 3 targets. Brian Thomas had 4. Christian Kirk had 4. ETN had 3. Evan Ingram had 4. So there's 5 guys right there that they're spreading the ball around pretty equally. And then even in the backfield, right? Like Travis Etienne is supposed to be this back that we could trust. He's going to get all the work. 12 carries for Etienne, 12 carries for Tank Bigsby, and Bigsby was the better looking runner of the 2 in week 1. Not just the fumble that went out of bounds for Etienne, but he had 44 rushing yards, Etienne did. Bigsby had 73 on the same number of carries. If work in the backfield and in the passing game is this spread out, this is going to be a nightmare for fantasy week to week.
Yeah, they said that Tank Bigsby was going to be more involved. I don't think we believed it.
No.
We probably should have believed it. Yeah. We'll see if this is a short-term thing or if this really is the way of the world in Jacksonville for this year. 49ers at the Vikings. Both these teams coming off really nice wins in week 1. Now, granted, the Vikings got theirs against a bad Giants team, but it's a win nonetheless. For you, Laquan, anything that you are really focusing on in this one?
It feels yucky to talk about your 49ers.
I know, that's why I made you do it.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. You put that in the show sheet for me to talk about. But I like my guy, Jordan Mason, man. He put up monster numbers against the Jets. So are we going to be able to ride this hype train stress-free? And I think we can, man. I think Jordan Mason put on a great showing, monster numbers, and that 49ers O-line created massive holes for him to really get busy in those trenches, man. And there's some upside here with him running 16 routes. He only caught 1 pass, but it's good that they're going to be putting him out there to see what he can do. So I think if he puts up monster numbers against this Vikings defense, again, who beat up a broken Giants offense, so I'm not really scared of this Vikings defense holding Jordan Mason to a limit. So it's like, man, if he opens up this full playbook and they lean on him and he puts up another massive week, I think the 49ers got to think about if they're going to be putting CMC on IR, man, to save him later in the season.
Yeah, that sounds like Ram fan talking.
Yes,
especially because the Rams are very close on the schedule in this one. I think that's you talking with your heart.
Kind of need that to happen.
Also, though, the Brandon Ayuk probably with more snaps this week too. That's one more thing the Vikings have to pay attention to defensively, which could go and help Jordan Mason. Seahawks and the Patriots. I think everybody was surprised to see New England get the win over Cincinnati last week. But the thing I'm really looking to see is, can DK Metcalf bounce back? Because last week was not a great week for him. He ran up against Patrick Surtain most of the day and did not have a great game, just 3 catches for 29 yards. This week, though, he might run up on Christian Gonzalez. And last week, Gonzalez really put the clamps on Jamar Chase when they faced off against each other over the course of the game. Chase just 3 catches for 14 yards. And afterwards, the quote was, I wasn't going to let him get a new contract on me.
I love that.
Oh, my God. That was good.
Now, there are no concerns about DK Metcalf playing for a new contract right now. But nonetheless, Christian Gonzalez really trying to make a name for himself as one of the top corners in the league. And especially in a passing game that was not very explosive in week 1. I think a lot of folks are hoping that DK can bounce back, but the matchup makes me a little bit nervous heading into week 2.
Confident corners are always my favorite players.
I mean, it's great, man. You talk your stuff, man.
Best trash talkers.
Just go out there and make it happen. Jets and the Titans. It was not a great game for Aaron Rodgers in week 1. Is he who you're watching in week 2, Florio?
Yes. I watched Aaron Rodgers extremely closely in week 1. Like literally every snap, I wasn't watching anything but how Aaron Rodgers was moving in the pocket. And look, he still has the arm strength, one of the most talented throwers of the football to ever walk the planet. But I think he moved very awkwardly. I think at the first sign of pressure, he was looking to bail out, and he had a year plus to get ready for this game. He now gets a short week before his second game, his first game where he has to actually bounce back from playing. Plus, what I found really curious, the 49ers blitzed the second lowest rate in week 1, and they didn't really create all that much pressure. I think after seeing what Rodgers, how he moved, teams are probably going to start blitzing a lot more. The Titans definitely blitzed a lot more in week 1. They created more pressure. How is Rodgers going to handle that, and how is he going to look on a short week is something that I'm very concerned about.
Yeah, it's sort of that bounce back. Everybody's going to try to figure out how that Achilles feels and how can you keep him in the pocket and maybe force him to get rid of the ball a lot quicker. Giants at the Commanders. Both teams defensively looked pretty awful in week 1. Laquan, what should we be paying attention to?
You have to keep your eye on Wan'Dale Robinson. The dude had 12 targets, 13 fantasy opportunities because he had 1 rushing attempt. This is a guy that's a dynamic player that can honestly get Daniel Jones back on track this week, going up against this Commanders defense that looks to be still trying to figure some things out, to where this could be a great confidence booster for Daniel Jones to get Wan'Dale Robinson, who's a security blanket, and there's some benefits in fantasy to be a security blanket. I know we both and all remember that the Panthers offense was terrible, but Adam Thielen was a top 10 fantasy wide receiver the first 11 weeks. That's majority of the fantasy playoffs. So they're going into the fantasy playoffs. So we're looking at Wan'Dale Robinson having 12 targets. Man, you got to keep your eye on the guy that's getting those type of opportunities.
The target volume is great. The average depth of target, not so great.
He's a guy that can create out there to catch. So
we'll see if we can split the difference somewhere along the way. All right, it is time for Is It In You, fueled by Gatorade. We're talking about the players we think are going to have big weeks in week 2. And Laquan, who do you think goes big this week?
I'm swinging big, man. We're going Keenan Allen. And I think going up against this Texans defense, there is some opportunity for him to have a big week because they've given up a ton of big plays last season. And last week we saw with Anthony Richardson, there's still some concerns there. And look, I know Caleb bombed the debut, but so did CJ Stroud. I think this is bounce back season for Caleb to really get on track, to get some of these time throws, because the fumble, you're going to be making some mistakes there trying to get the timing. And then that first quarter deep shot that he took to Allen on his first target, I know Allen was hoping to get that on target. So there is big playability here this week for Keenan Allen going up against this Texans secondary, because, man, Anthony Richardson showed up and showed out on the deep throws, and I think we can get Keenan Allen to the end zone in one of these.
All right, Florio, who you got?
I love Keenan Allen this week as well, but don't call me a homer. I'm going with Devon Achane, who I'm just going to say, like, last season, he faced the Bills twice. First game, 8 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then the second time he played him, 10 for 56 with a touchdown. Speed, look, I know speed kills all defenses, but in the past, speed has particularly killed this Buffalo Bills defense. Trust me, I watch it and I get very frustrated, but I think Achane, as long as he plays, and Cam Wolf said he expects him to play and kind of look like himself out there, I think he is going to eat. And with no Raheem Mostert and having 10 full days to recover, as long as he is healthy and capable of handling more work, I wouldn't be surprised if they put even more on his plate this week.
Yeah, very interesting to see how they're going to split things up with Raheem Mostert already ruled out for Thursday night. For me, it's going to be Derrick Henry. And I know it was sort of a disappointing start to his Ravens career, just over 10 points for him. A lot of that was game script, and we saw a lot of Justice Hill. I think game script works the other way, this time in Henry's favor against the Raider defense that struggled mightily against J.K. Dobbins and the Charger rushing game. I think they're going to have their hands full trying to slow down Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I think both those players run wild. And then late in the game, with the Ravens leading, you're going to see a lot of King Henry trying to ice the clock and close it out. I think for everybody who was left frustrated by Derrick Henry last week, you're going to be very happy with your returns this week. Still got a handful more games to go. Looking at the late afternoon slate on Sunday, plus Sunday night and Monday, and our hot takes. That's all coming up next on the NFL Fantasy Football. Rams at the Cardinals, big showdown in the NFC West. And for me, I want to know who steps up with Puka Nacua not available. Now that we know he's on injured reserve and out for at least a month, the questions are flying. Is it Demarcus Robinson? I know Tyler Johnson was a very popular waiver wire ad. He's going to run a lot of those same routes. If you watch the waiver wire hot sauce on NFL Fantasy Live, Jordan Whittington's name came out of Adam Rank's mouth. I'll also throw out Kobe Parkinson as a nice sleeper tight end option, kind of running those seam routes, running in the middle of the field, so the underneath routes. Matthew Stafford is going to obviously pepper Cooper Kupp with targets, but where else they go, I think there's a lot of options. We're going to find out how Sean McVay is going to play it coming up this week. Steelers at the Broncos. Looks like we're not going to get the Russ Wilson revenge game against Denver, but what else are you keeping your eye on?
Truly, when they acquired Russell Wilson, I thought this was the game
This
they
was the
got
one.
him for. But I'm watching to see if we could trust either of these offenses, period. I mean, the Broncos had no one useful in week 1. I know Cortland Sutton got a lot of volume, but their backs were splitting it. Bo Nix struggled. He had the rushing touchdown for them. And then with the Steelers, yeah, maybe you could trust Najee Harris for volume, but they were using 3 running backs. Justin Fields led them in rushing. George Pickens is the only one I feel confident about because he'll get downfield targets, but even he was coming off the field way more than I'd like to see. Pat Freiermuth was basically getting running back air yards on his throws. So Arthur Smith again, I don't really feel good about either of these offenses. Again, for me, it's George Pickens or bust, probably for both of these teams.
Yeah, it just bleh. That's kind of how I feel about it. Bengals and the Chiefs. Laquan, they've played some really great playoff games against one another here in the regular season. What are you keying on?
Xavier Worthy, can he make another splash this week? And I think he can, because the Bengals defense allowed the most big plays last season. So what do we really think Patrick Mahomes is about to do with Xavier Worthy lighting it up on the perimeter? I mean, the Bengals defense has a ton of distractions to deal with this week. You have to still worry about Travis Kelce killing you in the middle. You have Rashid Rice, that's going to be a guy that's going to be getting the yards after the catch. So there's a lot of concern here, and Xavier Worthy, he's going to leave a couple guys in the dust if the Bengals defense keeps playing this way.
Yeah, it looks like a big play waiting to happen. I don't know how many touches he gets, but he's going to be explosive whenever he has the ball in his hands. Sunday Night Football, it's the Bears and the Texans. Game number 2 for Caleb Williams, season number 2 for C.J. Stroud. I just want to know if the Bears offense is going to look any better. Obviously, it did not go great for them offensively. The defense helped carry them to a win, and it just sort of felt like a lot of rookies, right? The game is a lot faster at this level than it was at the college level, but we have seen Caleb Williams have a lot of success. Very capable, smart quarterback. Want to see how the Bears make adjustments. I know, Laquan, you said you liked Keenan Allen. I think there's opportunities for DJ Moore. The Texans defense, certainly no slouch at all, but I do think that we're going to see some different changes, some different looks in the offense, and we'll see if this offense can be a little bit more productive than what we saw in week 1. Monday Night Football, it is a battle of the birds, the Falcons at the Eagles. Florio, what is your focus here?
Will Kirk Cousins take more than 3 steps? Because, like when you cut the back of your heel and in shoes and you're trying not to move, that's how Kirk Cousins played quarterback. Like, he did not leave the pocket. He did not scramble. There was no play action. At no point was he putting his back to the defense. He can extend plays with his legs. The air yards was extremely low. I get it. He is less than a year, not even close to a year, fully removed from the torn Achilles. We should have had doubts, and some of us did, but last week was as bad as it possibly could have been. And now I know it was TJ Watt and the Steelers, and they're not going to face them every week, but the Eagles up front can create pressure themselves. So big. Michael Penix, you are on notice right now.
I am hopeful. I'm hoping that Kirk Cousins bounces back
Same.
this week, if for no other reason for Kyle Pitts and Drake London. It is time now for Hot Takes presented by Frank's Red Hot. We're going to get spicy as we finish out the show. Laquan, make it hot.
Ooh, I'm bringing the heat once again this week. Fire content only. Greg Dortch going up against my Rams. It's going to finish as a top 15 wide receiver because, man, we already established he's Kyler's most reliable target. I think we kind of know this. But, man, we're looking at this Rams pass rush, and I think that Kyler will zone in on Dortch to kind of be that guy that can convert, keep these drives alive. We already know that Kyler Murray and Greg Dortch has the chemistry, so I'm going to predict he might even sneak in for a touchdown this week, man. You guys got to join me at Dorchland, man. You get a free cup of strawberries when you walk in. There's fireworks and
the Chamber
vibes.
of Commerce at Dorchland. What are we talking about?
Let's go, man.
Hey, if you're right, all credit to you, but I don't think I'm taking this ride with you.
No.
How spicy are you getting, Florio?
So one of the 14 receivers ahead of Greg Dortch this week will be Malik Neighbors. I'm not backing off after one game. I know Malik Neighbors was upset that he didn't get the ball more. They're already talking in New York why was he not getting the ball more? I think Brian Dable and the staff are going to watch the tape, and the stats show it as well. he was the only Giants receiver that had a positive EPA when targeted, which means every other player when you're throwing the ball to, you are losing value except for Malik Neighbors. He gets the Commanders, who just allowed 4 touchdowns last week, allowed the most yards and touchdowns to wide receivers, and Daniel Jones actually has a history of success against them. So I was wrong last week predicting the Neighbors breakout. I think it happens this week.
I would love to see it. As for me, Baker Mayfield is going to be the top passer in the NFL this week. We saw Bake come out and do very good things against the Washington Commanders. Yes, the Lions are a better defense than Washington is, but I think between going to Mike Evans, working Chris Godwin out of the slot, I like Jalen McMillan as a sleeper. This is going to be a back-and-forth game, a high-scoring contest. I think Baker stays hot for the first 2 weeks of the season, and he's going to be your QB1 when it is all said and done. So there you go. Those are our hot takes for week 2. In the meantime, that is it. We are done. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show. You know the drill. Tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Rate, review, and remember, all you need is love. But a little chocolate now and then doesn't hurt either. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and we will talk to you tomorrow.